Welcome to In Focus on ABC 10. I'm Trent Bailey. I'm with Dana Ferguson, who is running for Michigan's first congressional district in 2020.
Yes.
How are you doing?
Great. Thanks for having me
Yeah,
here.
thank you for being here. For people that may not know who you are, what's your story? How did you get to this point where you're running for the first?
Yeah, I feel like there's far more people that don't know who I am than that do. I'm from Negaunee. I've lived in the UP basically my whole life. My family's from here. After I graduated from high school, I had a young family. I got enrolled at Northern. Got my bachelor's in economics. I couldn't find a job that paid really well in my field, but I was lucky enough to get into the construction industry. Worked for my dad as a union laborer at Menzie Construction. I eventually got into carpentry. I went back to school, got my master's in public administration, again from Northern, but I kept working in the construction industry. That was my niche. It's again really tough getting work up here, but I'm extremely grateful for the opportunities that being a union employee and working in the construction industry that allowed me to live up here and take care of my family.
What is one of the things that makes you really want to run for this seat for Congress?
Yeah, I think everything that I've been through. This isn't something that I planned my whole life. This wasn't a great aspiration of mine. This is something that, getting interest in the area of politics started with maybe my bachelor's degree, but it didn't really start taking form into me thinking about running for office until after my master's. And that's when I realized, I looked around at my friends and family and just community members, and you're seeing these people, great people, hard workers, and they're struggling every single day. And yet they're going about their days, they keep their heads up, and all they're worried about is just taking care of their family. And for me, that gave me something to work for. That gave me something to I want to make a difference. I want to help these people, my family, friends, my community members in any way I can. And I thought, looking at the national stage, there was a lot to be embarrassed of. And I wanted someone out there that would truly represent this district.
You have a bachelor's in economics. Mm-hmm. How does that impact your views on what's going on that national scale that you were just talking about?
What got me into economics wasn't so much the numbers or the business side of things, which I think often people get into it for. I got really interested in it when I learned that it was more a study of how people make decisions. And I think that's what we need to keep in mind when we're thinking about a business model for the country, for our communities, for the state. These are people with different values. Everywhere we go, people are different. We're not all the same. And the first district is a great example of that. We're very unique people. We're hardworking people, and we have certain values. That's why I feel like my training and education in economics, coupled with my work history, allows me to truly represent these people and kind of do a service for them at the national level. So I think I can get out there, communicate with these local governments, with our state representatives, and get some good representation at the federal level so we can see some things happen up and down the chain.
What are some of those things that you want to tackle at the national level? If you had three things that you want someone to know about your campaign and what you want to do, what are those three things?
Yeah, and I don't think this is a big surprise. I think my three big issues would be the economy, healthcare, and the environment, climate change. The economy is hands down the most important issue because I don't think we can move forward without taking care of the citizens. We need people to be able to survive. We can't have them working 2 or 3 jobs and continuing to struggle. The economy is just going to get worse if that's the model that we want. So when I think of the economy, a lot of people look at the broader area. I focus on local, regional, what's happening here at and our small communities across this district. That's where my focus is. So, we've got a lot of great young leadership all throughout this district. And what they're missing is a teammate there at the national level. These communities can help communicate what do they need. Is it infrastructure? What type of infrastructure are they missing? I can get into federal office and help them get what they need, and that's what I feel like we've really been missing. Healthcare, that's something that's impacting everyone across the country, but I think it's particularly acute here. We have so many people uninsured, underinsured, and that's an issue that has to be addressed. And the environment, the environment is so close to home here. We're surrounded by the Great Lakes. We've got uncounted natural beauty here in the First District. It's something that we really need to protect. We need to look at as a resource, not only as an asset that we turn to, like when we choose to live here, but also, it creates jobs. It brings in tourism. So there are a lot of areas that all three of these impact us locally, but also internationally.
And when you say healthcare, this is a big issue, and it's a little broad just saying, oh, well, I want to focus on healthcare. Right. What do you see as the way forward for healthcare as a nation and as the district? I know there's Medicare for all that people are pushing for, or public options, stuff like that. Yeah. What do you think is the way forward that would best help this district and the nation?
And that's the question, right? Yeah. Which way do we go? First, let's look at where we're at. We have 28 million people uninsured. We've got 44 million more underinsured, not going to the doctor because they can't afford it. We have 500,000 people, 500,000 families every single year filing bankruptcy due to health-related costs. These are a reality that we have to take into consideration. Again, that has nothing to do with my approach. What we need to do is, obviously, we need to come together. I know that's like pie in the sky. Hey, let's all get along. But we do need to come together. And what I like to do is I take the 30,000-foot look down. And which way are we going? The younger generation is leaning towards some type of universal health care. It's unavoidable. I think we can deny it. We can say we're not going there. But if you look at the youth, that's the direction they're going. I think we have to respect that. That doesn't mean let's jump into it, make it happen in a year. That's not going to happen. But that is the direction we're going. I think we need to bring that to the table and address these issues so we can say, how can we make sure everyone is getting covered, that small businesses are not suffering because they can't find talented employees because they have to leave for jobs that are giving them that insurance. So the goal ultimately has to be make sure everyone can get the health care that they need. But there are a lot of things that we can do in the meantime to help that. Decreasing health-related costs. Prescription drug prices are extremely high. That has to be a top priority. Our rural healthcare system, the small clinics and hospitals, these are areas that are extremely vulnerable. We need to make sure that they have the infrastructure, but also the funding that they need to continue to serve their small communities.
Yeah, and it does seem like we're kind of moving that way, but I think, have a unique perspective on this, also being have a bachelor in economics. Right. What about the questions of, well, can we afford this this plan? Is this going to hurt us economically to be spending that much money? Right.
I think if we looked at that and said, hey, we're going to make this happen in 5 years, make it work, then yes, we're in big trouble. We have a huge deficit right now. We have a lot of debt. There are pieces that need to be put in place before we can get there. There's no doubt about that. We can't ignore that. We can't say, well, we're just going to make it happen just because it needs to happen. We need to start moving in that direction. But in order to do that, we need to kind of dig ourselves out of the hole that we're in order to get there. But putting ourselves in more financial trouble would make things worse. Continuing along the economic line, I think part of the issue is, we need to address this problem of unemployment, of underemployment, of a livable wage. And there's ways to do that without forcing businesses to do it. We can incentivize, we can take a step back to move forward. And those are the types of things that I would like to see happen.
And you were starting to talk about employment there, and we can kind of talk about that where a lot of people say, oh, well, look, we have record low unemployment, so the economy's great. And there's a lot of talking points that the economy is doing really well, and in a lot of cases it is. But there are some parts where it's not working out economically for us. And especially I think in this region specifically, there are people that are feeling the economy a little bit more than in other places. And I know you were saying earlier that you wanted to focus on our local economies.
Right. I don't think we can look at the stock market and say this is how we're doing. To me, the stock market does not show the strength of an economy. It shows the strength of a section of an economy, but when you're talking to those people that are living at or near poverty, or they're working poor, working 2 or 3 jobs to take care of their families, and they're continuing to struggle, even though they're putting all that work in, they would argue against that and say, hey, I don't care if it's record high. I'm in no better position than I was last year, the year before. And it's not looking good for their future. They're not able to put any retirement away. So we're perpetuating this problem, and we're not solving it. And the important thing is we need to start taking steps to solve the problem. And how we do that, again, that's not a quick fix either. This is a process. So one, getting it so people can make more money. I'm very pro-union. I think union jobs are fantastic. They protect people, they protect the economy, they protect the communities. Those are jobs that we really need to be pushing. Small businesses are another thing. We need to be helping small businesses so they're able to pay their employees a livable wage. I don't want to be penalizing small businesses that are doing their job at stabilizing the economy. They're doing a service where larger corporations who are paying their employees a wage that's not enough for them to live, while we continue to subsidize them, they're destabilizing the economy and also acting as a form of welfare that the rest of society is picking up.
Jumping off of that point, there are corporations that like Amazon, which pays very little in taxes, while the mom and pop store on Main Street is going to be paying a lot in taxes, especially the state and the federal level. What do you want to do, or what can you do that would kind of help stabilize that difference there?
I think there are a lot of tools that we can use. Some of them are at the federal level, some are at the state and local. I think we need to recognize more of the stabilizing factors that these small businesses have. They're not just, it's the mom and pop and then maybe a couple employees. They act as stabilizers. And a strong economy is a stable economy. If we're growing unchecked, that doesn't necessarily mean we're doing great, because you can look at the stock market, you look back at the past, and you see there are highs and lows. It goes up and down. Sometimes the higher you go, the faster you go, you're going to have a severe drop, and to correct it. So these small businesses are fantastic tools for our communities and for the country as a whole by rewarding them for what they do. So the tax benefits really should be going to the small businesses that actually care about their employees, by saying, hey, you're not just an employee, you're a family member here at this business. What you do for us is important. And they pay them a wage, and they're part of the community. That money goes right back into the community. And then there's this sense of camaraderie that they have, and they take pride in the job that they do as well. So it creates, again, I know I'm hammering out the word, like a stable, sustainable communities. That has to be our goal moving forward. Otherwise, if we neglect our small businesses and we just let the small communities fade into oblivion, we're going down the wrong path. Our economy will destabilize and we're going to really struggle.
And the Upper Peninsula and this district has a lot of these small communities that you're talking about. You said earlier that you've been here your whole life almost. You grew up in the Upper Peninsula. Yeah. What makes this area so special that you really like?
It's the people. We don't always agree on everything, but we all call this home. I mean, we all agree, like, okay, this is where I want to raise my family. A lot of people aren't lucky enough to stay here. Like I said, I wanted to raise my family here. I talked to someone the other night that had to move away. I mean, he was older. He had to move away a couple decades ago, but he said he regretted it. He wished he could have raised his family there. There's something about this area. It's just this feeling of home, where you know your neighbors, you know your communities, and you have the rivalries that in high school sports. But at the end of the day, you're rooting for them in the playoffs if your team gets out. It's just this close sense of family and community that you don't see everywhere. Mm-hmm. And I think that's what distinguishes this area, this district, from so many others.
What can be done at a national level in Congress that would help kind of retain some of a lot of people come here for college, whether it be at Tech or Northern or wherever, and then they have to leave after college, and even though they might like the area, what can be done to help retain people in the region that want to be here?
I mean, in that sense, we are just scratching the surface of our potential up here, and this is not our communities are going to change. We can retain the uniqueness, the integrity of our small towns and communities, but reinvest in the future to, give these assets that these people that want to live here, these bright, intelligent people, because not only do we have extremely hardworking people here, mm-hmm. we have extremely bright people here. So it's not like we don't have these assets, these tools that could make this area even better. They're forced to leave. So I think one area is green jobs. There's so much potential in that area. Mm-hmm. In other areas, research and development. This is a fantastic area to have a place for research and development. It's quiet, it's secluded, but we have Michigan Tech, we have Northern. There's a lot of resources and people that these industries could be using, and they'd be so much happier because of where they live.
Mm-hmm. The Upper Peninsula, obviously, the environment in the Upper Peninsula are hand in hand. There's so much, with the wilderness and the outdoors life that goes on in this area. What do you think we should be doing at a national level, or Congress should be doing better to help protect the environment?
They need to make sure that the resources are there, so we can be taking care of them locally. Our water, it's a resource that cannot be replaced. Our forests, our waterfalls, our inland lakes. I mean, there are so many areas that need to be protected, mm-hmm. and also utilized, so people not hidden away, but for other people to enjoy. So we need to make sure that we have enough staff and resources here that people can enjoy them, that are like our trail networks, that we're reinforcing that this is not just something that we want to keep for ourselves, but we are willing to share with people from all over. And this is a great source of revenue as well for us. So I think the federal government should be fighting for that, and that's what I would be doing, fighting and working with like our state reps and local elected leaders to make sure that they have the resources in place to continue to protect and utilize these resources for the communities.
The Line 5 pipeline is always in the news.
Yeah.
It's a big issue. Where you stand on that?
I personally, I am not for Line 5. I know that is going to make some people upset, but there's a reason for this. One, obviously, I'm a very environmentally focused person, but two, we need to look at all of the issues. That's what I like to do, like break it down. There's the energy, there are the jobs, there is the tourism, there are the Great Lakes, and then there's the energy future. It's not just the propane that we're talking about here. So I like to look at all of them and break them down into solvable pieces. And I think if we do that, we can make headway on this issue. There seems to be a divide, and I'm hoping that with a pragmatic approach, we can overcome those obstacles. I don't want an organization, I don't want to be influenced by, say, by Enbridge or anyone else on this. This is a belief of mine. I think we need to protect the Great Lakes. But that is not to minimize anyone's fears or challenge that they're going to be facing here. The propane issue is a real concern and a real issue, and that's something that we can work on solving. The jobs issue. I believe that what I'd like to see happen here in the area would more than offset any jobs lost with that pipeline. I think if we focus on reinventing and reinvigorating our infrastructure here, the jobs, the union jobs, will more than outweigh any possible job gain from the pipeline. So I feel like if we tackle this one issue at a time, we can make headway on it.
So you're against the pipeline as it is and a tunnel, a potential tunnel?
If they can ensure that the tunnel is safe, then that's definitely something we can move forward with. I'm hesitant because there doesn't seem to be a willingness to divert the oil and natural gas liquids until the tunnel's built. And whenever I see someone unwilling to move forward with something like that, negotiate, then I get nervous and hesitant. I don't feel like Enbridge has the best track record with cleanups or environmentally. So I would like to see some type of goodwill on their part by saying, okay, yeah, if you allow us to build a tunnel, then yeah, we can divert the oil through Line 6. But I don't see that. And when I don't see this negotiation, then I get a little nervous.
Is there something that can be done at a congressional level that would keep companies like Enbridge more accountable for the spills that happen and the cleaning up like that?
Oh, I definitely think when it comes to companies, like especially foreign companies, there has to be extremely high regulation, especially in areas of like extreme importance like the Great Lakes. That is not something we should be taking lightly. So, and I think, back to Line 5, you know what? If we looked at this issue, okay, and if Enbridge and all parties concerned were willing to say, listen, let's let this, if we're going to put this at the national stage, let's get the top experts from everyone, from everywhere, and we all sit down and talk about this. We weigh the risks, we weigh the rewards, and we come to a conclusion. I think that's a fantastic approach that we could use that would be fair, and I feel like all parties concerned could be, at least content with the answer.
Is there anything else that environmentally, I know there's been some rollbacks with like the EPA and stuff recently at the national level that have kind of like we're selling off lands or allowing, federally protected lands to be like, getting oil on them and stuff like that. Is there something that you want to focus on in that sense?
Well, as a bigger picture, okay, I think like withdrawing from the Paris Climate Accord was a mistake. I think we need to be doing everything that we can to be protecting our land, but also ensuring that future generations have the ability to enjoy our home as much as we do. And I mentioned this before about healthcare. The environment, climate change isn't an issue that is just impacting a few people. These are impacting everyone. And if you take the 30,000-foot view, the younger generation is saying very clearly what they would like and what they believe. I think we owe them enough to say, we need to listen to you. You need to have a seat at the table. By not listening to them, we do a disservice to them and that generation as a whole.
This is a big district. I think the first district is bigger than a couple states, if I'm not mistaken. How does that impact not only how you're campaigning and you're on the campaign trail leading up to the election, but how does that impact how someone is in that position actually has to represent the people?
Yeah, well, campaigning, it's very difficult. You know, there's a lot of travel, and it's just almost impossible to get everywhere. And having such a diverse district, it's really important to get to as many places as possible and not just pick and choose like, oh, this is my base, so I'm just going to focus on them. That's not going to be my approach. I want to talk to people that disagree with me on issues. I feel like that's the only way we're going to learn and move forward. I'm not in this to push an agenda. I want to help everyone in the district, not just those that agree with me. Representing, I think you have to take the same approach, though. You have to be out there. You have to be seen. If you're not in touch with those communities, with those people, I don't see you representing them in an adequate way. You have to be, you have to be there. You have to have your ear to the ground. You have to know what's changing, what's working, what's not working, what do you need. Unless you're willing to do that and able to do that in a district like this, you can have staff, but it's not the same. People need to trust their representative. They need to see them there, and I don't know, so they can say like, this is what I'm living through right now. This is what my struggles are right now. Then you're feeling like your representative might understand you.
Do you think that's an issue right now?
Yes. Yeah. I think that's part of why I started running. It wasn't because I thought this would be fun and be like, hey, I got nothing else to do. I wanted more out of my representative. I want my representative to genuinely care about what's going on, regardless of political party. I don't care if you're a Republican or Democrat. I'm a Democrat, okay? That doesn't mean I can't represent Republicans. It's a basic people issue. I want my representative to be willing to listen to me, even if we disagree. And with Mr. Bergman, I haven't seen that. I want to see that. I want to see someone out there humble enough to not take credit for everything that happens. And I just don't see that.
And you brought up we're very divided along party lines, it seems like, at the national level, and in some cases like the local and state level as well. How would you approach, if you were to be elected, how would you approach that partisanship that is in Washington right now?
I'd let everyone know that while I am a Democrat, my focus is on the people here in the district. And I recognize that there's a pretty clear line. It's basically 50-50. So what I'm not just out there trying to round up Democrats to vote, I'm letting them know it's a trust issue. I'm letting them know that I will be fighting for them. If I do a bad job explaining something on why I voted a certain way, I would hope that they would let me know that's on me. I need to fix that. And I will make sure that they know why I voted on something, and I'm hoping that they would understand through my answers why I did. But I think we need to see that. We need to be willing to work with the other side, because we're not going forward in this country by ourselves. It's not, okay, Democrats, we're going to win. The Republicans, sorry, you're losing. It's our country now. The parties are a reflection of our principles. It doesn't necessarily mean we want different things. We may just disagree on how we're going to get there. So I'm hoping that if we take a very practical approach to things, and you have someone that can communicate with the other side of the aisle, we can actually get things done and put the partisan politics aside.
And a big party thing going on right now is the impeachment hearings. In that whole process, how do you feel about what's going on with that right now?
I support it, and I feel like if it was reversed and there was a Democrat as a president, I would say the same thing. I really have no tolerance for anyone abusing power or looking like they're abusing power. There should be complete transparency at that level. And the more there's fighting, the more there's resistance, I feel like there's more reason to move forward on it. I would just want to get to the truth. And that's what every representative's goal should be. So when I see or hear representatives make excuses and blame it on partisan politics or just maneuver to distract from certain issues, I disagree with that. I think oversight is an extremely important part of the role of a representative, and they should be taking it seriously, not making excuses why the system isn't working.
All right, I'm going to change gears a little bit. You ran last time, right?
I started.
Yeah, you started to run.
Yeah.
What are you doing this year that you learned from that first time?
Yeah, it was a short run before I withdrew to support Dwight. I'm taking advice from anyone who has any, and there are a lot of people with advice, and there's a lot of people with conflicting advice. Mm-hmm. So I have to do some obviously thinking of my own. But my approach to this, I'm keeping. This campaign is about the people. Mm-hmm. And I tell people I'm not looking for people to work for me. I'm looking for people to work with me. I'm looking for friends. I'm looking for family. That's what this is about. This, what I love about this district. It's just that sense of community. I want that in this campaign as well. Mm-hmm. This isn't just a win-win-win campaign. We're trying to do something good. So I am going out there, and everywhere I go, I'm trying to not just shake as many hands as possible and have as many superficial conversations as I can and hope to convince them to vote for me. I'm actually genuinely interested in what's going on in their life, and I hope that they can see that. Mm-hmm. But I think it's about building those connections that people can like, when I walk away, they feel like they trust me. And if I walk away and they don't, then I failed. So I'm hoping that a year from now we can say that they did trust me.
Has there been anything surprising so far on your campaigning right now that's happened?
Well, I honestly didn't know what the general consensus was going to be. I am very surprised that I have received a lot of positive feedback from people. I knew going into this that my history wasn't exactly this, he's a perfect candidate for politician. Mm-hmm. But that's not what I'm getting. I'm getting the fact that people are ready for someone that really just genuinely cares. They're not out there for themselves or to make a name for themselves or to take credit for every good thing that's happened and say that, that bad stuff was not me. Mm-hmm. I'll take blame where it's due and credit, whatever. Mm-hmm. I think people are ready just for a regular guy to get out there, or girl, to get out there and do what they need to do to get the country back on track. Maybe boring is a little good right now.
And in the past with this district, we've seen the campaign kind of turn into, they're not from here, they're this, they're that. Yeah. When you're going forward, how are you going to sponsor or approve anything that's like that kind of mudslinging?
I'm hoping that there's no mudslinging. Yeah. I'm not hiding the fact that I'm from here, though. I mean, that's part of who I am. I think that this district is unique, that we don't tend to trust. That's why I feel like all of the representatives we've had over the last half century have been from the UP, is because we trust them. Mm-hmm. That's not going to win me the election. I'm not that disillusion. But there is something to say about that. There is something to say about trusting people from an area. And we've had really good candidates. And I'm not to say that, just the fact they weren't from the area, that's why they lost. But I'm clearly not relying on that. But no, I'm not going to be doing any mudslinging. That would go against my whole approach.
Yeah, it seems like the past couple times, like the campaign's kind of turned to where the focus is more on those kind of issues instead of what the candidates are actually campaigning.
What's affecting the people here.
Yeah. So I figured I'd ask that because it seems like it's happened, very recently. It's kind of evolved into that kind of situation. This is the biggest district in Michigan and giant in the nation, but how do you find time to actually go and hit all of the communities that you want to?
Yeah, it's very ambitious. I'm not going to deny that. But I think it's just necessary. If otherwise, I'm just wasting my time and everyone else's time. If I can't run the campaign that I think we need to run, then I think it will lose. So it's going to be careful planning, great team to be working with me, and just careful coordination. We need to get out there and have as many town halls, meet and greets, listening events as humanly possible over the next year. I think if we do that, if we can reach our goals, the campaign goals of how we want to run this, then I think we'll be successful. But it is going to take a lot of determination, coffee, and teamwork.
Is there a strategy that you have about which areas to go to or anything like that?
Yeah, well,
or are you just trying to hit everywhere?
Well, it's not just like a blind running, but Marquette and Traverse City or Grand Traverse, they're extremely important counties. I think obviously being the two largest and most populated, they're extremely important. But I also think it's extremely important to make sure these lighter populated counties are included. I don't want them to feel like they are neglected. So, we are going to be everywhere. Obviously, we're going to have to spend more time in some areas because there's more people. So, you're going to have to spend more time talking to those people. But I'm going to make sure that I'm in every county and holding events there as often as I possibly can. So if I'm on a swing down in the Lower Peninsula, I'm going to try to get to Alcona County and Crawford County as often as I can. So they know that I'm not just, blowing smoke up there. So I'm going to be doing something to let them know that I'm there for them as well. But, I'm targeting the UP as well. I want the UP back, not since Stupak has been in, we haven't had it. So it's my goal. I want to win it.
Do you have a goal if you're elected day one? Is there something that you want to do or introduce, like your day one plans, or like the first 100 days? Everyone makes a big deal about the first 100 days. What's like your first goal that you want to tackle if you were elected?
One of the first things I want to do is I want people to know that I'm there for people. Okay, the people of the district, nobody else. And I'm encouraging everyone else to do the same thing. So let's drop our labels for a bit, work together, and move forward. After that, I think we have to be working on infrastructure. Without infrastructure in place, especially in this district, we are going to continue to struggle. We're going to continue to have a brain drain. We're going to continue to have our youth leave as soon as humanly possible. So I would love to work on an infrastructure plan where the foundation infrastructure is in place for places that need it most, because that is more important than anything else or any reinvestment in larger cities. If we do not get broadband and cell service in areas that are throughout this district, our small communities are going to be no more. They're going to turn into ghost towns. The youth is going to leave and the population will die off unless we do something about it right now. So that is my number one priority.
Speaking of ghost towns, after what happens a lot of times and has in our history in the Upper Peninsula is a mine will close or leave town, and then the population is hurt economically and they start leaving after that.
Yeah.
Mining's a big part of the Upper Peninsula and always has been. What do you think should be done about the mining future in the Upper Peninsula?
I think as long, mining is important, not just to our past, but to our future, but everything has to be done responsibly. So as long as we're protecting our environment in the process, then we can go forward with that. But we can't be running down the road with our eyes closed. We have to be, doing this with the intention of protecting our home at the same time. I think we need to make sure that mining companies know that we're not just going to be giving away our resources. We need to be rewarded for what we offer here, and not just say, oh, thanks for this little contribution to the school and everything. So we need to make sure that we're getting what we deserve from the natural resources that we have. But yeah, the mining is a huge part of who we are culturally, but also economically. I don't think it's good to rely on one industry, because that kind of goes against my whole stability, sustainability approach. But they do play a huge role in boosting the economy, which I think we definitely should take advantage of, but use that to just further stabilize our economy.
Yeah, and the mine in Palmer is closed down, or and they're making steps to maybe open it back up. Maybe. Is there something that you would want to do in Congress that would allow for that to come back and open back up, or what would you do to help that kind of situation?
Anything I could. If we could get good union jobs and boost our economy here in this district, I'll do it, as long as we're protecting the environment in the process. So if there's anything that I could do, then I would absolutely do it. I'm for rebuilding our areas and definitely infrastructure. And when you have those good union jobs that the mine offers, I think that's one of those things that just gives a boost that's almost unmatched.
As we're going to start wrapping up here, but what is one thing that you want people to walk away from this, and they hear your name and they think of one thing? What do you want that to be?
It has to be trust. It's who I am. If I'm not going to convince everyone to agree with me on the future, on the environment, on healthcare, or even the economy. But if you trust me that I will be always doing the right thing for our district, then I think you can get enough respect there from people. Like, okay, well, I disagree with him on this, but I can at least trust him. And it seems like a small thing, but it's actually, to me, extremely important. So it's trust. Without trust in your representative, I don't think you have someone that you can look to with your best interest at heart.
All right. Well, I appreciate you being here and
Thank
being
you.
on In Focus with us and talking about not just your campaign, but what you see for the future.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
I appreciate you being on. And thank you for watching In Focus on ABC 10. I'm Trent Bailey with Dana Ferguson, who is running for Michigan's 1st Congressional District. Thank you for joining us. Have a good day.